What's good, everybody? Today I'm coming at you with a top 10 Jujutsu Kaisen curse techniques, and I'm not going to be including domain expansions because that's going to be its own video, but I'm going to be tackling pretty much my favorite out of all the techniques in the series so far, and it will include a little bit of manga spoilers, but not too much really, because mostly of my list is anime. So pretty much if you've seen the manga, there's really only one, maybe two, which you haven't seen before, but I'll let you know if it's any spoilers. So without that, let's go ahead and get up into the video. For my number 10, I have Toto's Boogie Woogie technique. Boogie Woogie is just really cool to me because it's also like the way he uses it in sync with Yuji, and pretty much like they're the best two to possibly use this. Him swapping back and forth, especially when he fakes people out like when he did with Mahito and Hanami. Really cool. I think the technique itself isn't anything too special, but I think it's the way Toto uses it to where he's big and brolic, but it's actually pretty interesting that he has a technique to where he actually needs a partner, someone that can link up with him in order for this technique to really bring out its full potential. So I have Boogie Woogie at number 10. For number 9, I have puppet manipulation. This is Mekamaru or Kokichi's technique, and I really like this because of how he uses it. Like most people on this list, they kind of use their abilities to their best potential. But with Mekamaru, there's so much he plans ahead so much for his battles that is really interesting, especially when he has the multiple puppets that which he brings out again in his fight with Mahito, and then even against Panda. How he's very versatile in terms of how he uses his puppets. He has defense, offense, he has long range, mid range. He's very agile. I mean, he can pretty much do anything he wants with it. The only downside for him, obviously, is someone who knows of the puppet's weakness and how you can really damage it, like Panda did in their fight. So, but in terms of just how I like watching him or reading how his fights go, it's really cool, especially when he gets the Ultimate Mekamaru and that giant form and how he uses it, and just he's one of my favorite fighters in the whole series just because of how smart he is in terms of using his puppets. So I have Mekamaru's puppet manipulation at number 9. Number 8, I have Nobara's straw doll technique. I like seeing Nobara use this action a lot because of how brutal this technique can be, and it also showcases Nobara's intelligence. She uses a lot sometimes for mobility or bringing people down from high areas so that she could be on ground level with them. We've seen her do that with Momo. My favorite part is the resonance, which is the base of everything for the technique. It's just badass because once she gets a piece of whatever you have on you, whether it be a body part for a curse or like a piece of clothing or like anything like your tools or whatnot, you're basically at her mercy. Plus, I mean, when's the last time you've seen a character use a hammer as a go-to weapon? So I have Straw Doll at number 8. Now my number 7 is one most people probably don't have, but I think it's cool as hell. Takumo Ino's auspicious beast summonings. First glance, this is one of JJK's more complex techniques, because trust me, I had to look it up a couple times to get what exactly it does. But forget the specifics, the activation of this technique is one of the coolest in the series. Ino pulls the ski mask over his head and he looks like a damn menace pretty much. He turns himself into the spiritual medium, basically making him the source of where his beast will spawn. He has the horn-like drill for attacking, called Kaichi, Riki, which basically turns his curse technique into a water veil, making him more mobile. And he has a third one which he was going to show off, which showcased a little bit of electricity, but sadly he ran into a goat by the name of Toji, so we didn't get to see everything he has in store. I don't think we saw the fourth one, so but it's still a really cool technique in my opinion, and I have it at number 7. Number 6, we got my boy Kento Nanami's ratio technique. We all know what this does. I like the execution of it in terms of the line with the blood bar over it. I love that. And then Kento's ability, it was one of the abilities that where if I was in the universe, I would kind of have this if I couldn't have anything that was already kind of passed down and innate, like other abilities that are going to be listed in here. But the fact that he can create a critical point on pretty much anything, whether how big it is or how small it is really cool, really powerful. And it gives him pretty much an advantage in a lot of his fights, especially when people don't know what his ability is. And you kind of see that a lot with Mahito, who kind of didn't know what was going on when he first fought Nanami, but later on in the series his ratio just becomes so impactful against certain characters, and it's just really cool. I like the aesthetic of it. It fits Nanami a lot because especially when it goes into overtime, he kind of gets a boost, and then for a certain amount of time he can either give him time to escape or he can get a nice little finish off on a good opponent. So it's really versatile, like a lot of these abilities, and I just like it a lot. That's why I said number 6. For 5, I have Geto's Curse Spirit Manipulation, aka the Pokeball technique, is something like to meme it, which that's kind of what it is. He beats down a curse to a point where he can capture it in this orb-like curse tool, where essentially he has to ingest the curse in order to fully tame it. Now, Geto's usage of this technique is very similar to his own character in a way, in the Star Wars vessel. And to me, it's a roundabout way of Megumi's. But considering Geto has to ingest some, he doesn't necessarily have a limit to how many he can actually control and use at his disposal. As we've seen established, whenever he uses Uzumaki, he's basically taking all of the curses he's captured and using them in one massive attack. I won't spoil too much about his character itself, as this is mainly about the curse technique, but when season 2 comes around for any anime onlys or for people who do want to read the manga and you are waiting and you can't wait for JJK, well, pretty much be prepared for Star Wars Vessel, because there's going to be a lot unfolded, and Geto is probably one of my favorite parts of the whole arc. For number 4, this might be low on certain people's list, but I mean, it's not too low for me because I'm a little bit different. I have Gojo's limitless ability, number 4. We all know how powerful Gojo is, how OP he is, and he's probably got some of the most, arguably a ton of techniques that we probably still haven't seen. We all know about Hollow Purple and all that stuff, so pretty much limitless makes it easier for him to even access Curse Spirit technique, you know, blue and red, and then Hollow Purple. Then he's got the Infinite Void. Limitless pretty much make it easy for him because he doesn't have to worry about how much curse energy he's actually using. So this fits Gojo so much for me, and I like it because Gojo's character and his techniques fit him so well, because not only is he OP, he's very smart, but his abilities are OP, but they're also very flashy, kind of like his personality. He's very outgoing, he's goofy, but he can be very serious. So it's not much to say. We all know why Gojo is arguably in a lot of people's top 5 characters. So I have his ability number 4 with Limitless. Also, his 6 eyes are dope. And if you know the backstory of the 6 eyes, that in itself is insane. I can't wait for that to be animated. And yeah, I have him at number 4. Let's get into the top 3. Coming in at number 3 is Idol Transfiguration, Mahito's technique, which pisses everybody off. And I have to say, I'm a fan of this technique because I'm a big villain guy. Now, I love a good villain, so when he used this on people, I was like, damn, that's kind of sad. He's turning people into these morbid-like creatures filled with cursed energy, or just me going, damn, he's a pretty good villain. But either way, we know what Idol Transfiguration does. I like how this one technique can affect someone like Itadori's emotions because of how sinister it is. At the end of the day, he has to kill innocent civilians who were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And Mahito uses this ability to its full potential, even on himself as well, in the Shibuya arc. So overall, it's a sick technique for a sick individual like Mahito, and that's why he's number 3 on my list. Number 2 for me is blood manipulation. I just love the aesthetic of the blood manipulation, specifically whenever Choso is using it, because he's the best at using it in the series. Blood manipulation gives the user a various amount of techniques they can counter and go against many type of opponents. Red Flowing Scale boosts their physical ability because they are simply speeding up their blood flow, and Choso has its own super moves like Supernova, which is a condensed amount of blood that bursts and covers a wide area and can easily take out an opponent. And don't forget, this blood is also a poisoning effect. And probably my favorite part in the ability is Convergence, which is simply them charging up their blood and shooting it out like an arrow with incredible speed, strong enough that even when Kamo used it, he was actually able to chip Hanabi's skin and not the branch. So technically, Kamo had a pretty good feat for himself whenever he used that arrow. But in all, this is one of my favorite techniques. It's number 2. I love it because just how much goes into this ability. I love the depth of it. It's a really cool aesthetic. Anybody who uses it throughout later in the series, I don't know, but if they do, probably gonna end up being one of my favorite fighters to watch or read. And yeah, I just love this technique. If I could come into the universe with any type of ability other than ratio, like I said earlier, this would probably be the other one. And number 1 is 10 Shadows technique by Megumi Fushiguro. This technique, I told you, I love summons. I love, some of the animals to fight with you, and it's really cool how he can tame them, and then the amount he has in terms of how, when we talk about techniques where you can, for so many different situations, Megumi is pretty much the peak of that. He has Nue, he has the Demon Dogs, he has Rabbit Escape if he wants to leave somewhere and, gather information. He has a Orochi, used to have a Orochi for grab an opponent. He has the frog's tongue to restrain someone, and then he can even mix them when he combines Nue and the frogs for flying frogs, so he can pretty much he can restrain people from higher distances. It's so much that can go into it. The demon dog totality, to where his demon dogs kind of fuse after one is dead. I mean, this ability is so much depth to it that it has to be my favorite. And then obviously the Maharaga, the main, I'm guessing the main one, because I think we still have 3 more to see. The main one is just, it is pretty much the apex of summoning a cursed spirit, and I love it. It looks cool. It fits Megami a lot because the ability has just as much potential as Megami does himself, and I love it a lot. It's whenever he fights, mainly with a teammate or without, it's pretty much a spectacle for me, because I love seeing how Megami's going to fight using his shadows, and whether or not he's going to reveal a new one or not, or even if he maybe combines them. It's just so much to it that it's like, it's hard for me not to put this at number 1, and it's my number 1 on the list. It's my favorite curse technique in the series, and that probably won't change anytime soon. So yeah, Megami is number 1 on this curse technique list. That was my top 10 curse technique list. I'm going to be doing more JJK content because I kind of been taking a break and I wanted to do more other things, and I still like to do other manga reviews, but I'm going to start becoming more of a JJK base, for my channel. So if you want to see more JJK content, hit me with a subscribe, and if you enjoy, leave a like, comment as well. All feedback is welcome, and hope you all have a great day. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.